Hello, online crew. Let's talk about the difference between recruiting customers or recruiting team members. What's more important? What should you focus on? Where should you, spend your time concentrating on? So this is a very interesting discussion. Depending on who you talk to, they will say different things. I've heard leaders within my own company say always start with, team first and then work backwards to a customer. I've had other people say completely the reverse. So I think there's varying opinions on which way to go, and you just need to work out what's best for you. So I've brainstormed this myself. I've sort of mapped out, I've got some notes here on the pros and cons of both and some questions to ask yourself so you can kind of work out what would be sort of the best thing for you to concentrate on. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you if you don't know the answer to this question or it's something that you've wondered before. So hello to those of you on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, etc. Just before I go into the content, I do want to say I just finished Practical Reels Training Part 3 inside the coaching community, and I shared my mobile phone on the screen and I went for my full flow of how I create reels from start to finish across the platforms and all my little tips and tricks to make that happen. So if you're a coaching community member, go and watch the replay of that Practical Reels Training Part 3, because I know you'll find it really valuable, having a walkthrough of what I actually do in my business across the platforms and streamlining it all and learning how to work smarter and not harder. Okay, so go and watch that replay. So the first thing I'm going to say on this is, and I'm sure you wouldn't expect me to say anything different, is it depends. The answer to this question depends on a lot of things. The first thing you need to consider if you're working out what you should prioritize on customers or team members is your comp plan for your company. Because depending on your comp plan and how it's structured, I would advise one person to maybe concentrate on team members, and I might advise another person to concentrate on customers, depending on your comp plan, how it's formulated, how you get rewarded, whether they compensate on both sides of the comp plan, and whether your volume from customers actually contributes to rank advancements or not. There are very wide and varied comp plans out there. If you think they're all the same, you're very much mistaken. There are a lot of people in this industry working way too hard for their money, and it all comes down to the comp plan. Okay, so you need to dissect your own comp plan before you can truly answer that question for yourself, depending what company you're in. Okay, so that's the first thing to consider. There can be definite advantages for building both sides. But depending on how your comp plan rewards you, you may get more commission out of customers, or maybe you need all volume to rank advance and you get more money out of that. Like I can't answer that across the board. It depends on your company and your comp plan. And the structure. Okay, so you need to do that work. You need to work out where your team volume kind of comes from to rank advance, to get the dollars, customer commissions, how much do you get paid on an initial purchase and repeat purchases, and are you rewarded for that? Is that a separate part of your comp plan, or does that all contribute towards your rank advancing? All of that. Do you have minimum customer requirements? Like, are you getting customers, but there's a minimum requirement that you're not meeting, so you're not getting the commission, so they might be better off as a team member? There's all of that to consider. So number one thing to sort of dissect is your comp plan in your company. Okay. Now, there are pros and cons for both sides of customers and team members. So I just want to run through those so you can kind of think about each side as well. Okay, so the pros for gaining customers. Customers will give you stability in your business. Customers are a no-brainer if you want to stay compliant with like an above board network marketing social selling company. If you don't have any customers and you're 100% team based, that is massive, massive red flags for who were they called? You know, the body that regulates it. They've slipped my mind. If anyone knows, put it in the chat. You know, the people that I can't think of their name. But, you know, the overarching body that regulates the industry. If you're in like a business that's only like 100% team, but there's no kind of products and there's no customer sales kind of behind it, massive red flag for the company and for you. So customers create stability in your business. You should always be striving to get customers, okay? When you are newer to the industry and this business model, customers can be easier to achieve than team members. So if you're trying to set up a team member for success or you're trying to gain some success, customers can be a little bit easier to obtain than team members. So that, you know, that's something to think about. How do you get started? Obviously, everybody wants to grow a team that's in the industry, but what's going to get you a win quicker? And, you know, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of the time it's easier to get a customer than a team member. Can you relate to that? Just, you know, comment yes if you can sort of, you know, appreciate what I'm saying there. Good customer service creates loyalty without all the headaches of you know, having a team. So if you look after your customers and they love the products and you've got that loyalty and you keep getting customer commissions, then it's good. It's a good income kind of base, and it creates that stability in your business. Okay, so customers are really good to have. So happy customers, repeat volume, repeat commissions, you know, that's what you want in your business. Also, happy customers can make really good team members. Because if somebody's had a really good customer experience and they love it and they talk about it and they rave about it, then you should be having a conversation with those people to upgrade to a team member. But again, I've got to preface that by saying, knowing your own comp plan, whether that's a good idea or not. You might upgrade them, but then lose something. So it depends on your comp plan, whether that's a good idea or not. But, you know, it can work well. They can be really good team members because, you know, they're already sold on the product. Okay. The cons for customers is there's often an income ceiling versus when you're growing a team, it can be kind of limitless. But there can be an income ceiling if you only focus on customers. There's only sometimes so far that you can go, or like a maximum commission level that you will hit, you know, per volume, etc. So there can often be a ceiling if you only focus on customers. You do tend to trade a lot more of your time for your income when you only focus on customers, because customers are, they're yours, they're your effort, that you need to look after them, you need to give them good customer service, you need to go and get the customers. It's all on you. When you build a team, obviously you get rewards from what the team does. So customers can be a lot harder work on an ongoing basis. I mean, I get a lot of customers. I'm the top enroller in my company at the moment, have been for the last 3 months. And a lot of that is customers. But I spend a lot of time nurturing those people and looking after those people and checking in with those people, as I do with team as well. But I've got to do a lot of work to get those customers. So, you know, that's where there can be, you know, some cons. The other thing with that is I know if I slow down, you know, a little bit with my content or, you know, my activity, my consistency, the customer flow goes down. So if you're growing a team, that can still flow, regardless of what you're doing. You go away, you get sick, you know, life happens. When you've got a team, that can still continue to grow. If you're only really focusing on customers and it's all your own effort and you're trading a lot of time, you know, for your money, you're working very hard for your money, and then you take your foot off the gas, then the money stops, the lead flow stops. So that can be kind of the downside of the customer side. So when we look at team members, pros and cons, The pro for team members is absolutely leverage. Okay. Once you've got a team that you're working with and, you build leaders within that team and you work as a team, now you've got leverage in your business. Like, it's amazing when that happens. There's huge benefits to obviously growing a team. The other thing is the duplication that happens. So you might have a few team members, but then those team members have, they recruit team members and they, have team members. And so the duplication that happens on the team side is where true residual income really kicks in. You don't get that with customers as much as you do as the team side. Okay. So one person can become many on the team side. The other thing is scalability. Like, you can create exponential growth with a team when you've got the systems and the leadership and the duplication and the tools and the resources. Like, that comes down to your leaders and the company you're in and who you work with. But you can scale your business when you've got a team. You can scale with customers, but the more customers you get, you scale the customers, you've got more work to do. You've got more people to look after. You've got more people to kind of nurture. I mean, you nurture a team as well, but it's in a different way. Okay, so leverage, duplication, scalability, and absolutely residual income potential. You would know this about the industry. The bigger your team, if you concentrate on a team and the team's duplicating and they're scaling, like the residual income potential from that is massive. And you don't get that from just focusing on customers. Okay, you just don't get that same residual income potential. As long as you don't lose people that are coming in. There are some comp plans that you can lose your team members, which is, I don't understand that. But you just have to know your comp plan really well. The cons with building a team is you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with human nature. A lot of people give up on themselves too easily. They don't do the work. They want the income. They want it, but you're dealing with people, and people quit. People have lack of belief in themselves. People get distracted with shiny object syndrome, and now they're over here joining another company and trying to do your company as well. And then something else comes along, or life comes along, and they don't do the work, or they're too much in their own head. Like, you've got to be able to manage a team, which means you need leadership skills. If you can't lead yourself first, you shouldn't be leading a team. Like, you've got to lead yourself first. So you need to step up to the plate. You need to create consistent content. You need to have the ability to attract leads. You need to do the do. You need to get out of your own way. You need to show up in the team chats and contribute and talk on team calls and not just sit in silence all the time. Like, you need to lead you before you can lead a team. Do you have that? Like, that's what you need to be working on. So you've got to take that seriously if you want to build a team. You've got to step up to the plate and get out of your own way. And your team will only do what you do. If you don't show up and you recruit people, they won't show up if you're not showing up. Like, leadership is huge when it comes to being able to build a team. So you've got to possess that first. And, there's a lot of people that can waste your energy. And you've got to have a very high level of emotional intelligence, because the bigger your team, the bigger the issues, the bigger the complaints. Someone's always complaining. Not everybody has leadership skills. So you've got to manage people, and you've got to have a very high level of emotional intelligence yourself, and manage other people's emotional, intelligence. So the skill level that you need is a lot higher if you're building a team than customers. So do you possess that? So, that's something to think about as well. Okay. A business only built on customers can feel very heavy because you're doing all the work. So it can be a little bit easier to start with, because sometimes it's easier to get customers than it is to get team members. But it can feel very heavy because you can work very, very hard for your money. So that's kind of the customer side. But the customers provide stability in your business, and you need them. You do need them. Okay. The team side of it can feel heavy in a different way because it can be very volatile. Team come in, they're excited, they want to do the work, and then they just don't. Or something happens and they fall off the wagon, or they never really get out the gates. They were excited when they joined and they never really launched. They never really put out a content. They never really got going, and then they start disconnecting. So building a team, it's awesome to get the rewards from that if you're recruiting leaders and they do the work and you don't have to babysit them all the time. But, building a team does take a lot of skill, from you managing not only yourself, but managing the people underneath you as well. So I believe, depending on your comp plan, and that I can't answer, but I believe, disclaimer, depending on your comp plan, that you do need the sweet spot of both. Okay, so I've gone through all the pros and the cons of customers versus team members, and there's obviously that balancing act with those pros and cons that I've just shared with you. So I do think that you do need a bit of both. Customers creates the stability, but team creates the leverage and the income potential. So you want a bit of balance of both. You want that stability while you're building a team. What I do with my business personally is I build with customers while I'm looking for the right people, to build in my team. But I find that getting customers is easier than getting team members. So I keep my business ticking along quite nicely with lots of customers, looking after them, etc. But I'm always invested in the team and finding the right people to work with. But you've got to take on that responsibility of nurturing a team and having that emotional intelligence and having the leadership skills yourself. So you've got to grow with both, if that makes sense. Okay, so depending where you are in your business, it can sometimes be easier for people that join you in the business to get them started with a few customers, get them some wins. Some wins early in this industry is so important. So depending on your comp plan and how it works, if you find it a little bit easier to get a customer, then team members, start there yourself and start there with team members that you recruit while you're looking for the team members to join you. But you absolutely want to concentrate on building a team, because that's where your freedom is. That's where that duplication, that residual income potential is with growing a team, depending on your comp plan. I will say that again. So customers are necessary for a stable income base, stability in your business, and being compliant. But I would also, while you're building customers, intentionally look at attracting leaders for leverage and true residual income. If you want true residual income from this industry, you need to build a team. Okay, so both have their purpose. I just want to leave you with I brainstormed some questions that I think you should ask yourself to where you sit with your whatever company that you're in. Just questions to ask yourself. Okay. So number one, does your comp plan rewards for customers and team members separately or together? Like, you need to know your comp plan. So do I know my comp plan? To know how I'm rewarded and which is one better than the other. And if you don't know how to dissect that, go and talk to a leader and get them to dissect it for you. That is a question you have to ask yourself. How does your comp plan allow for the two sides? What are the pros and what are the cons with your comp plan? You have to ask yourself that question to know the answer. Okay. Number two, are you building for quick cash or long-term leverage? What do you want out of your business? How long are you here for? Are you just here for quick cash for 6 months to 12 months? And you're like, I'll give it 6 months, 12 months and I'm out. Then, if you're in for quick cash, maybe you want to concentrate on the customers. If you're here for long-term leverage, you want to concentrate on a team, but why not go for both? Okay. But that's a question you need to ask yourself. Are you here to build quick cash or long-term leverage? If you're in for the long haul, you want freedom long-term, you want leverage long-term, you want true residual income, then you want to be concentrating on building a team while you're getting the customers. Okay. Number three, Mentally, psychologically, are you avoiding growing a team because it makes you feel uncomfortable? Does it scare you? Are you not even leading yourself? So therefore, how would you lead a team? Like, think about, what are you gravitating to because it's easier, but maybe it's not the smartest decision depending on your comp plan. So just think about that for a minute. What are you concentrating on? Like, or are you concentrating on the business side of it because you think that's a better thing to do, or somebody told you that that's a better thing to do? But ultimately, for you to get some quick wins and get some cash and have some good feel good things going on in your business, maybe you should get some customers while you're finding the right people to join your team. I don't know. You need to ask yourself these questions. So are you avoiding recruiting team because it scares you? Or are you avoiding customers because you think, who's going to listen to me? If I talk about a product and what it does, and I'm talking about gut health or weight loss, but I haven't had a major story myself, or I haven't had a huge transformation, who's going to listen to me? So you're not going for it with trying to get some customers because you've got this imposter syndrome stuff going on in your own head. Or you don't feel like you've got a massive story to share on social media, so it holds you back from getting some customers, because you don't feel like you're good enough, or who's going to listen to you. There's the mindset piece of where you're sitting in your business as well, with customers and team members, and what are you scared of? I'll say to wrap this up, there's no one strong answer. You must know your compensation plan for your company to be really truly to be able to answer that question, because you may be advantaged or disadvantaged from turning a customer into a team member. There may be higher commissions to be made if you go all in on customers. I don't know. Does your customer volume actually contribute to your rank advancing? Yes or no? Like, you have to know your comp plan to be able to answer these kind of questions. But I would think about those questions that I've given you, listen to the pros and cons that I've gone through in this video, and go and dissect your comp plan to know what is the right thing for you in your business. For me, in my business, and as a general kind of rule, I would say you should work towards both. And if you don't have influence, you don't have a following, you don't have people that are hanging off your every word when you turn up online, then it is easier to get customers before it is to get team members. So maybe go and concentrate on that, get some small wins, get some income in, prove to yourself that you can do it while you're looking for those people to join you in your team. Because ultimately, you do want a team if you want freedom, you want leverage, you want duplication, and you want true residual income to create that freedom. Okay? So I know there's a lot of variables in all of that, but I truly hope that this was helpful for you to have a little bit of a think about where you might want to position yourself in your business and what to concentrate on. Okay. So again, coaching community members, if you missed the training I just finished on Practical Reels Training Part 3, go and watch that replay in the Coaching Community Facebook group. I walked you through my entire process of how I create reels, how I post them across the platforms, and how I use different strategies to streamline everything so I'm working smarter and not harder. Okay, I know you'll find that training helpful. And I'll catch the rest of you next week. Bye.